RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. Blender at BlenderHD. You're going to follow me on Twitter. And it's Wednesday, December 11th. We'll be taking a first look at the Week 15 DFS slate on DraftKings. So hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thumbs. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to always know when we go live. Join with me on this Wednesday for a first look. It's Alex Santi. And welcome back. You weren't here last week, and we got 12 games, no buys. So these slates will be a bit bigger. And this slate does feature the biggest total that we've seen in the NFL this year: Buffalo, Detroit, 54.5, and a whole bunch of decent. I mean, there should be some offense on the slate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, last week was interesting. I didn't really play much last 2 weeks because of the holiday, and then I got sick, and I took a first look on Sunday morning, and I was like, I was going to make a single entry lineup and a cash lineup, and I realized they looked exactly the same because I didn't know how to differentiate from those three running backs. So I did the cardinal sin of plunking my cash lineup into the Millie just because, like, whatever, I'll just do something and not play anything else tournament-wise, and I bubbled out by, like, 0.75 points. So this is why you don't do that.
Well, I'm bringing up. We don't have updated projections, so like I was weird that I was looking at like where did Lamar Jackson go? So let me bring that up on the screen right now. Okay, so these should be getting updated at some point later today. With I mean some of these are you got last week's projections or showdown projections and stuff. I mean we could kind of X these things out. But we'll go position by position. We're kind of just looking, what does it look like the top plays are going to be, the highest projected stuff, the chalky stuff in your GPPs, kind of how to build a cash game type of lineup, right? We're not necessarily looking at the ownership leverage and game stacks or anything like that. We're just like, okay, what looks like it's going to be the best play of the slate type of thing, position by position. And obviously a quarterback, if you can pay up, I mean, you got Josh Allen there at 8,500. You got Lamar Jackson against the Giants as a 2-touchdown favorite at 8,300. You got Hurts at 8,000. I'm not sure, based on what I've seen in the rest of the pool for these 12 games, I don't know how much value there's going to be necessarily, or like really good value. There'll be value, but is it going to be like, is it going to be Zach Charbonnet at $4,800 type of value? Probably not.
Along with Isaac Correndo at 50 whatever 100 he was.
5,400, right? You're probably not. So I don't think that the expensive quarterbacks are going to be like all of that chalky. I mean, Lamar obviously, they have a huge implied point total, almost 29 points, but he almost tends to do better when the games are close than when the games are out of hand. This seems like more of a Derrick Henry type of game. If I'm going to pay up for anyone, like that's somewhat expensive, I don't know. Joe Burrow at 7,300. The Bengals are a 5-point road favorite against the Titans with a 26-point implied team total. I don't mind that. I'm probably playing another Bengal in my lineup at running back also, so maybe I don't want to play both of them. But it feels like the ceiling for Joe Burrow in this spot can't be all that much different than the 8K quarterbacks, right?
Well, and Cincinnati's defense is so terrible, you can almost throw, if there are NFL players on the field, yards will be had against the Bengals, points will be had against the Bengals. We're not seeing these game scripts where the Bengals have to deflate the ball and take the ball out of Joe Burrow's hands. So sure, does he run for 50 yards, 40 yards a game? No. Does he run for touchdowns? No. Does he throw 45 times a lot? Yeah. So for 7,300, I think we're getting a good deal relative to the other expensive things. And, you mentioned Lamar Jackson. We've talked about it a lot on this show that Lamar Jackson, we want a competitive game because we want the Ravens to get into a game script where they say, hey, Lamar, make a play. And that's when Lamar starts getting, 20, 30-yard runs. He runs for touchdowns. He, scrambles and a guy breaks coverage downfield and he gets a 40, 50-yard touchdown pass. But in what should be a safe game for Baltimore, it stands to reason that they won't want Lamar to put himself in trouble, to get hurt. Obviously, that's number one. Two, they just might not need him to do all of that because Derrick Henry should have his way with the New York Football Giants. So I'm at, and then Josh Allen, Josh Allen sounds like a great play looking at the Vegas stuff, but I don't think we have the value to spend $8,500 on a quarterback this week. I don't think we need to spend $8,500. We're going to get to some cheaper guys after Burrow. Jalen Hurts, always fun for tush pushes. So they just happen to get to the 1 yard line more than like everyone else since Calvin Johnson. So they get the tush pushes, so there's that added value. I can understand Jalen Hurts, but not for cash. I think Joe Burrow, I'm with you, is probably the most expensive quarterback that I'm spending on.
For cash games, it seems like I would choose one of 4 quarterbacks that are all listed in a row.
I think we're
literally all listed price wise in a row. For my cash games or my core, starts at Tua Tagovailoa 6,100 against Houston. They're underdogs. They're 3-point road underdogs, but that's almost a better spot for the passing game for the Dolphins. Then you got Kyler Murray, Cardinals at home as a 5.5-point favorite against the Patriots. Even though it may be more of a James Conner day, I mean, I care more about efficiency at quarterback than I care about volume, because we've seen, tons of quarterbacks have volume and end up with 10 points because they've thrown 3 picks and no touchdowns. But that's the classic case for Anthony Richardson at 5,800. He obviously has the rushing equity there, facing a good defense on the road at Denver. But maybe my pick, assuming Ladd McConkey is back, taking Herbert as a 3-point, they're a 3-point home favorite against the Buccaneers pass defense. 5,900 seems pretty good. I mean, I feel comfortable with kind of any of these 4 guys, like between Richardson to Tua. Like if you told me you wanted to play one over the other, as of now, I wouldn't blame you. I think Richardson and Kyler Murray are the most like high variance. Like they have a wider, they both have wider ranges of outcomes. But it's hard to go wrong with Tua or Herbert. I mean, the Chargers can't seem to run the ball anymore because Dobbins is out and Gus Edwards is inefficient, and Miami against Houston. I mean, I like the game in general, and they throw these 7-yard passes. The old school West Coast offense. I mean, Tua's probably going to throw the ball, drop back 40 times in this game, and he has all the weapons. So, is he going to get 303? Not necessarily, but I mean, can he give me a reasonable 16 to 18 points at quarterback for 6K? I think that's pretty good.
I think Tua Tagovailoa is one of the best bets on almost any slate against most teams in the league to get that 300-yard bonus, because they do throw so much. They're in closer games. Like they're not running away from people like they were last year. So last year he had like those 275, 265, like very efficient games because they were beating people like 40-10, but they're not doing that this year. So in these closer games, which this should be a close game against, they won't run away from this game. Maybe Houston runs away from Miami in this game, but Miami's not going to run away from Houston in this game. If there's a possibility, I just don't see a Miami blowout in here. So they're going to keep throwing. And I think Tua is great for the 300-yard bonus. And I think he's great for, he's one of the better bets for 2 touchdowns. So when you're one of the better bets for 2 touchdowns, you're one of the best bets for 3 touchdowns. I think Tua is very underpriced. Tua and Herbert both feel very underpriced on the slate.
Is there anyone cheap that you're willing to take a shot on? Because I'm going to tell you, projections are going to again, because they're facing the Bengals defense and they have a 21-point implied total. Will Levis at 5K. I didn't fall into that trap last week. I mean, he was very popular in double ups for 5K. At least this week. See, last week we got enough value that I didn't think you needed to go all the way down to Levis at 5K at quarterback anyway. I played Darnold, got my 37 points. I was fine. This week, maybe there's a little bit more of a crunch. But truthfully, if I'm going to go down, I've been saying this, Alex, for weeks, for literal weeks. I've been saying this for weeks. I may sound crazy. This may be crazy.
I think we're thinking the same crazy.
if I'm going to go down this far, I think I would rather play Aaron Rodgers at 5,400 than play Will Levis at 5,000. Because I've been saying the Jets are bad. The Jets, because they're bad. But the Jets are actually, they're playing the Jaguars in and it's in Jacksonville. And with no Breece Hall, I mean, it seems like Rodgers cares more about passing the ball than running the ball. And we know that he's in charge of the team and not anyone else. So, I mean, between Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams, do I think the Jets are going to hit a ceiling or whatever and score 1 billion points? No. But if this is a game, if I'm looking for someone to get 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, I mean, I surely trust Aaron Rodgers more so than Will Levis. I'm sorry.
I thought you were going to vomit Bryce Young for some reason. I don't know why, because it's Dallas. He hasn't been a terrible real-life quarterback. I like the running backs a lot more. Well, that running back we're talking about is about 6,500, which is a great spot, but it's Carolina, it's Dallas. It could just turn into a really sloppy shootout, because they're two teams that can't stop anyone. And Bryce Young, as a real-life quarterback, has been not terrible lately. We talked about Anthony Richardson earlier. Can Bryce Young put up the same amount of points as Anthony Richardson? Well, I mean, why not? It's a wide range of outcomes.
I'll still play Aaron Rodgers over Bryce Young.
I could understand that. I wasn't thinking about Aaron Rodgers. It makes sense. I'm not saying that I'm going to do that.
I'm just saying that if people are going to go down and want to play Will Levis, and I'm like, find the 400, get Aaron Rodgers.
I can make. I was going to say I'm going to find the 900 and play Justin Herbert. Especially if McConkey's back. That's what I'm probably going to do. And if I can find the extra 200, I really like Tua in this spot for cash. If we're talking about single entry tournaments, I think Kyler Murray has that range of outcomes in the ceiling. If Tua does get popular, but Tua never gets popular. I don't know why. Tua just never gets popular. He gets his 300 yards, gets his 2 touchdowns, and he's never popular. So I'll probably just play Tua.
Okay, let's look at running back. Obviously, at the top of running back, we got Barkley at 8,600, Derrick Henry 8,300. We got Achane 7,900, Joe Mixon 7,800, Kamara's still there 7,700. Even though you're going to have Jake Haener at quarterback now. New Orleans has a 17.75 implied team total as nearly a touchdown underdog. I'm just going to plug in the guy that has the best workload in pretty much the entire NFL for a team that has a 26-point implied team total, and that's Chase Brown at 7,200. And I mean, to me, as of now, I think running back is the easiest position to fill for cash games. I think there's 3.
Oh, totally.
There's 3. I mean, assuming Bucky Irving is playing, right? Because then we may have to talk about Rashad White and some of the Tampa Bay stuff. I mean, I think running back is very clearly, even though we have no projections updated. So I'm just going by this is what's going to happen. I'm going to play Chase Brown at 7,200 in one of my running back spots. And the other 2 running back spots, there'll be 2 running backs from the same game. And it's going to be Chuba Hubbard on the Panthers and Rico Dowdle on the Cowboys. Because Rico Dowdle is now complete. I mean, basically Zeke Elliott he's there as just, we're going to throw him out there for a 3 or 4 snaps and whatever, type of thing. And
he starts the second quarter, and that's about it.
Right. And Chuba Hubbard, Jonathan Brooks, got injured again. And Chuba Hubbard, I mean, has one of the best workloads in all of football now also.
Yeah.
And the Panthers are favored. It's going to be the only time the Panthers are ever favored this year. It's against the Cowboys. It's a 22.75 implied team total. The Cowboys, this is going to be a close game probably. Probably not the greatest game to watch. But these guys both Hubbard and Dowdle, with their workload, should not be in the 6K range.
Well, if this were flipped, if the spread was flipped on this game, right? If we had a 22.75 implied total for Dallas and a 20.25 or whatever it is for Carolina, we would still play Chuba Hubbard, right?
Right.
With a tight spread. With them favored, I think it's an automatic for my cash lineups right there.
But I mean, those are the 3. I mean, I just feel like what do I have to do any more work? I think James Conner at 6,600 is okay.
I was just gonna say James Conner, and when value opens up, the Derrick Henry conversation is going to open up because it is an enormous spread. It's the New York Football Giants. It's just so many points they're going to score. Who's going to score those points? I think Derrick Henry gets a big workload this weekend to put him away.
Are you gonna trust whatever Kamara projection comes out?
I'm not going to trust a damn thing that's said about Alvin Kamara, especially for cash games, because like, what are they going to? I mean, look. On one hand, you could say, oh, they're just going to give him the ball the whole time. Can they keep the ball? Right? Because in football, you have to hold on to this ball. This isn't like basketball where you get the same amount of possessions as everyone else. You have time of possession. I don't think they're going to even have the time of possession for Alvin Kamara to be relevant in this game. So for 7,700, absolutely, I'm not doing it.
Just to understand about Alvin Kamara the past couple of games or whatever,
he's priced higher than Jahmyr Gibbs.
Right, but what I'm saying is that in previous games, it's like, well, is there that big of a difference between Carr and Haener? That's not what I'm saying. Look at the implied team total. Like, we were playing Kamara the past couple of weeks at this price with Taysom Hill still in and the Saints having like a 24-point implied team total.
Yeah.
Then Taysom goes out and then he still have a 22.5 implied team total. Like, dude, they're down to the Jaguars have a higher implied team total. The
have a higher implied team total.
The Steelers have a higher implied team total.
Yeah.
Right. They have the Saints have the second lowest implied team total on the slate. You played Tyrone Tracy, right? They're at 14.25 implied. It's the same type of role. Right. Mm-hmm. Even though he may get a lot more of the passing game work. Like, are the touchdowns? The touchdowns weren't there when the Saints were scoring points.
No, they weren't there for him. Yeah. And it all, time of possession is so important for running backs. That's why we talk about game script and being up in, having being favored, having high implied totals. What we're talking about is, will they have the ball for one? Two, will they give this guy the ball? And we know they're going to try to get Kamara the ball. We just don't know if they're going to have the ball. I don't see them having the ball. Washington's been a decent offense, and they can keep them off the field.
Is there anyone else
Washington is. I don't think I would play him, but like, I'm not going to. Okay, Jahmyr Gibbs just scores points. Like, it's ridiculous. He gets into the end zone. He catches passes. This doesn't look like a David Montgomery dominating game. If I can't afford Devin Achane, which I hope to afford Devin Achane or a Derrick Henry, see which one of those come in when value comes out. If I can't, I don't think that Jahmyr Gibbs is a terrible play because he gets a lot of usage. The snap count isn't 80%, but he gets a lot of usage when he's out there.
Yeah, I mean, the only other person I think of cash game wise is Rashad White if Bucky Irving is out, and he's 58.
If Bucky Irving is out, yeah, but he needs to be out. And yeah, that's something we do need to talk about, because those two guys put together are putting up really good production when you put them together, and sometimes one of them runs away when they both play together. I do respect the Chargers. Defense a good bit, but I respect Tampa's will to run the football.
Don Yeezy in chat is asking about Braylon Allen. Like, I mean, he's fine. I mean, he's 54. It's very similar to, last week we cared more about playing him when we didn't think that Isaiah Davis was going to play half the snaps also.
Yeah, so I was going to say he's with Isaiah Davis in there, we almost need him to be under 5K, don't we? Because Isaiah Davis
he's fine at 5,400. He's fine. I think he's fine. Would I play him in cash games? No. But I mean, if Breece Hall is back, then you don't want to play a three-headed monster at back.
Of course not.
You just throw that all out. But I'm like, he's
fine. Are you playing Braylon Allen? Are you playing Braylon Allen over Gus Edwards?
Well, I'm not playing Gus Edwards.
I'm playing neither. I'm not playing Gus Edwards. I'm playing neither. But that's
I'm playing Chase Brown, Chuba Hubbard, and Rico Dowdle. Literally, there's I don't see how.
I'm in that box too.
Right? How do you go into double ups without those three running backs as of now? I mean, we don't even see projections. I can already tell you those are going to be the three best projected running back plays. It's going to be, it's pretty easy to fit those guys in because I think they're all 1,000 under price. I think Chase Brown should be 8,200. I think Hubbard should be 7,500. I think Dowdle should be 7,100, and they're not. Right? So you just play those guys.
We have good situations for all. When we say they should be that price, it's because the situation has changed. It's such a they have a situational variable this week that is working.
Or they had one, and the DraftKings hasn't priced them up.
DraftKings
right,
isn't
just
really
for the volume, right?
Tinkering.
I mean, you're going to get 20 plus touches out of all three of these guys, if not 25 plus from all three.
I was gonna say we're gonna total 65 to 70 touches out of those three.
Right. Okay, let's take a look at wide receiver. Like I said, projections have not been updated, so don't disregard these numbers. We got high-end wide receiver, 7K and up. We got the Chase, Collins, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Terry McLaurin, Mike Evans. Out of this bunch, I'm not sure if I'm even paying up. I'm not even sure if I'm probably going to be living in the 6K range, 5K, 6K range.
Yes.
But I mean, dude, Jamar Chase at 8,400. I mean, if I'm going to play a guy in this range, it's going to be like Chase or Tyreek. It's going to be someone that, like, I think could truly just obliterate the wide receiver position. I just don't think the Philadelphia doesn't have as much of a passing offense volume for A.J. Brown to do it. Amon-Ra St. Brown needs like 12 catches in order to hit that. And Nico Collins, I'm not thrilled about. I think Houston is more likely to run the ball more as a favorite at home than throw a ton. So, like, and to me, it's Chase and Tyreek. But I think in my cash lineup, I'm probably not playing either anyway because I'm probably just going down the middle because there's probably not going to be a 4K wide receiver that's even playable or 3K anyway.
Tyreek, I've been playing Tyreek ever since he lost that wrist designation on the injury report. Because when he had the wrist, the volume wasn't really there. He was running wind sprints, all this stuff. But they haven't priced him up for being healthy yet. He could be $1,200 to $1,500 too cheap right now. So I'm going to keep playing Tyreek. That Thanksgiving game, I think he bailed me out with a short touchdown. Last week he exploded. This should be an 8K plus receiver. He's not a fluke. He's a guy who gets footballs, and he gets footballs all over the field. He gets it in the red zone. He gets slants that he takes to the house. Like, he gets deep balls. We don't really talk about stacks and cash, but I think the Tua Tyreek stack is a very affordable way to have correlation that allows you to do a lot of other things with your roster.
Looking in the mid range, I think there's a lot of is there anyone that's like wide receiver as of now is not the type of thing where I just said a running back of like, these are three guys I'm playing and I'll see on Sunday. I don't think that's any standout. Like, you have to
this is kind of a DFS zeitgeist right now, right? Like, this is just how wide receiver is right now. We're not getting like what Amon-Ra St. Brown did last year, getting 12 to 16 targets every single game. We're not seeing that from multiple guys. So it's a little bit harder to isolate. We're playing for touchdowns. I mean, we're playing for 7 catches, and a touchdown in a lot of cases. So I think we want to target the higher scoring games. I think Khalil Shakir could be a fine pick. Vlad McConkey plays. He could be a fine pick. I'm not going to fall into the Malik Neighbors trap, even though I've been targeting Baltimore all year. I'm not going to fall into that trap. I don't think I would go for any of. Do you think would you go for Garrett Wilson? I don't think I'd play any of the Jets guys.
The Jets receivers are perfectly. I think they're perfectly fine.
I asked you because you said that with Aaron Rodgers, so
right,
you got to
think. Fine. I mean, they're favored against Jacksonville. I mean, I think I'd probably play T. Higgins at 6,800 over both of them. But I mean, I think the Jets receiver. I think they're fine. This is the 1 week where I'm saying the Jets are okay to play, and I've been just avoiding them like the plague for most of the time.
Does T. Higgins have too wide a range of outcomes for 6,800 for cash?
Yeah, but it stays fine. I think the Bengals and I don't mind playing all the Bengals on this slate against the Titans. I don't mind that game in general. Play Calvin Ridley at 5,900.
I was just about to, when we got to under 6K, it's like Calvin Ridley. I'm almost to the moon with Calvin Ridley because it's 5,900, and everyone gets yardage.
Thomas Jr.
Everyone
at 5,800
gets catches.
Against the Jets. I think is a better play.
A better play than Ridley. We've got more ceiling out of him. because he can catch.
Yeah, I mean, I
he
know
can catch deep
Jacksonville
balls.
barely doesn't have much of a team total, but I mean, Brian Thomas is getting double-digit targets.
And
Even
Brian
from Mac
Thomas can
Jones,
take a.
and I don't think the Jets are good.
Brian Thomas can take a 12-yard slant to the house, or he can beat a guy in cover 2 between the corner and the safety. You get that gap in there, and he can take that to the house and beat one guy. I think that's really it that
There
I'm
are
looking
guys.
at. Right.
There are plenty of guys. Devontae Smith.
There are a lot of under. I
Devon-
want to say so. That's about it. Over 6K though, right? Because there's some guys
right,
under
yeah, over
6K that I'm starting to like.
There's a lot more in the 5K range.
In the 5Ks, there are a lot of guys. I can play
Right, but
Josh
then once you go to
Downs.
the 4Ks, all the guys are overpriced. It's like the 5K guys are underpriced. I'm taking a look at like guys like Devontae Smith. The problem with Devontae Smith, I think he's very talented. I think he has a ceiling. I just think the Eagles' passing game volume is not worthy of being cash game viable.
It's not cash.
Like I think
they're tempting us with the price, though. It is a tempting price,
right? But I feel like if I had a choice, I think I'd rather play Marvin Harrison Jr.
I'd much rather play Marvin Harrison Jr. because I actually like Kyler a lot in this spot to hit his ceiling. I like Harrison a lot. I will get to tight end if you're spending. I think that's a good spot to spend if you're gonna spend. I don't think I would play him in cash. Well, I mean, he's supposed to be a cash play only, but like Adam Thielen can catch balls. Yeah, Adam Thielen can catch balls. He's fine. Josh Downs.
If he's healthy,
Indiana,
one of these guys is healthy. The problem is, Alex, is that I'm not a big fan of playing receivers that are attached to Anthony Richardson.
I was just about to say my problem is Anthony Richardson.
Right.
But yeah, there's some good guys there. Elijah Moore, if you need to save, because we're not finding huge places to save. I wish he was like $500 cheaper, but if you need to go to, is he 5K or 4,800?
Who are we talking about?
Elijah Moore. Sorry.
Elijah Moore is 5K.
5K. God, I wish he was just a little bit cheaper, but
right. The Browns guys are okay. I don't know if Tillman's going to be back. If he's back, they're less.
If he's back, we're done. Yeah, I'm done with all of them.
I'm not a big fan of playing guys against Kansas City.
I don't like playing guys against Kansas City. Yeah, but if Tillman's back, I can't play any of them. If Tillman's out, Elijah Moore could be that quote like punt wide receiver 3.
Well, I think the cheapest wide receiver right now, if Vlad McConkey's out.
If Vlad McConkey's out, are you talking about Josh Palmer or Quentin Johnson?
Josh Palmer, either of them. Either the
I
think they're bad. I don't think they're good, but that would be the lowest that I would go. I mean, I don't see anyone really lower than that as of now.
So Josh Palmer might be more of their kind of full field receiver. In the red zone, I don't know what the targets look like, but just talking eye tests here, first look, right? We're throwing some gum at the wall. Quentin Johnson I feel like he gets end zone looks a lot, right? Am I wrong about that?
No, I watched the game weeks ago. Palmer got like 4 red zone targets, and then there were 3 bad passes and a pass interference.
Oh, I'm amplifying both of them. I mean, at their price, if Vlad McConkey is out, I can amplify both of them because that run game is trash, and they're gonna score points.
I don't see anything else on the bottom. I think we're good there. Then we have tight end.
What's the George Pickens situation?
Well, I don't care. I'm not playing any.
Would you punt again with any of those guys? I don't. We've talked about punting wide receiver on the show, and we don't like punting wide receiver for 3,500.
18.75 implied team total attached to Russell Wilson. No, I'm not playing.
Well, and it's not a next. We've talked about this concept a lot this season that wide receiver is not a next man up concept. Just like by nature,
right.
We have to see some targets. We have to see a guy in the game plan. We have to see him running routes and getting first reads, all this stuff before we start trusting him for cash.
Tight end. If we pay up, I'll probably play Trey McBride.
Yep.
6K. I think 5,200 for Njoku is fine. You got Ingram. Ingram's there at 4,600. I mean, I'm going to
go cheap.
Tight end.
We talked about the Chargers wide receivers if Vlad McConkey is out. If Vlad McConkey is out, Will Dissly is just.
Well, Will Dissly may be out also.
He might be. Shit.
Then we get.
Then, what's the guy? Smart? What's his name? Smart? Is that his name?
Stone Smart, I believe.
Okay, is he like 2,500 or something?
2,600.
2,600. Well, there we go. Stone Smart. I forgot. He started getting some usage after this league came out of the game,
they have
too.
no one else.
So they have no one to throw to. So they're going to score points. I do believe the Chargers will score points.
Right.
So I don't think it's crazy to have. I think I want to have a Charger in my cash lineup. I don't think it's crazy to have 2 cheap Chargers in your lineup the way things look right now.
I just don't think you're going to be paying up a tight end this week.
I don't think we can afford to pay up for Trey McBride. I enjoy the idea of Trey McBride. There's good enough low
range,
and we can get our exposure to that Cardinals passing game through Marvin Harrison for 5,500.
Right. I mean, you got guys. I mean, dude, I don't care how he's been this whole season. I'll play Dalton Schultz at 3,300.
You play Dawson Knox at 3,400 with a bunch of points being scored in that game.
Right. I think
there's a lot.
There's Chig is down here at 2,900 for Chig Okonkwo. I mean, I don't mind playing him either.
Points.
I mean, I think all these guys are fine. Obviously in GPP, do whatever the hell you want, but I think I'd rather have a cheap tight end and get myself another 5K, 6K wide receiver than find some Noah Brown at 4,200 and play him in my cash lineup.
Hell no. I think we
I'd
agree the cheapest wide receiver.
Have Calvin Ridley in that spot, and then tight end is Stone Smart or something.
I think we agree the cheapest wide receiver is probably Josh Palmer. We're not.
That's if Vlad McConkey doesn't play.
That's if Vlad McConkey doesn't play.
Maybe like 55. Maybe may not want to pay under 5,500 for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are not a fan on this show of the $3,500 wide receiver who might get 6 targets.
Right. Who might get 6 targets.
6 targets. He might get 7 first looks.
Right.
I'm not doing it. I just don't do it.
DST. Is there going to be a cheap popular one?
I mean, I don't think there's going to be a cheap popular one. I don't think just because they throw a lot of footballs and sometimes he brain farts, the Titans could be a punt at 2,300, because otherwise you got to go in that $2,800 to kind of $3,200 range, which I'm fine with. I'm just not sure we can afford it. But that $2,800 to $3,200 range is pretty interesting for DST. I normally don't spend more than $2,600, on a DST in cash, but that range of $2,800 to $3,200 is pretty interesting. Because the Cowboys, it is still Bryce Young. It's still Carolina. I think we're going to play Chuba, but if some value opens up and something switches, it can make for a decent lineup. Not touching the Steelers. I don't want to touch the Lions without scoring.
Cardinals against Drake May. The Broncos.
Well, I was going to say then you get to the Chargers. The Chargers, Jets, and Cardinals are fairly interesting, right around 3K.
Right.
For good reason. I mean, the Chargers are a good defense. Baker Mayfield can make mistakes. I think the Jets are kind of self-explanatory. It's Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville. It's just Jacksonville. And then the Cardinals, they're facing another, just like the Jets, they're facing a team that doesn't have a quarterback right now.
Right.
And that's what we target in DSTs, right? Like, we'll bring it back to the rudimentary, kind of principles. If a team doesn't have a quarterback, it's a good target for a DST. You get sack fumbles.
That doesn't have a quarterback that's also going to throw the ball and be behind.
It's going to throw the ball and be behind. We want to get those interceptions. We want to get a shot at a pick six, a fumble recovery for the 6. I mean, it's a wide range of outcomes. We need to have the shots. Will there be sacks? Will there be fumbles? Will there be interceptions? Yes. Okay, I'm in.
Right. And it doesn't matter how many points they give up. I don't care.
Doesn't matter. They can give up 24 points. If you get a pick six and a sack fumble and 4 sacks on top of that, you're golden.
Right. Okie doke. Alex, anything else you got coming up this week?
I am grading it as finals week.
Oh, it's finals. Ooh.
Yeah. So we'll see who gets an A and who gets an F. My students are really good. I have very good
We should do a
students.
tier list like I do on
classes-
Fridays, Alex. We should put all your students on a tier list. We should make you just like I do with Bobby on Fridays with the stacks and teams. That we do A to F and see what they have to tune into the show in order to find out what the grade.
Oh man, that'd be hilarious. I don't think I'm gonna give out a D. I have 35 students across 2 classes. I don't think I'm giving out a D. I haven't graded the finals yet, but I'm pretty sure I'm not giving out a D. My class is an elective, so people aren't forced to take my class. They take the class because they want to. It's a political science class. They want to be cops. They want to be lawyers. They want to be, advocates. They really get it.
Just because they want to doesn't mean they're good at it. So you should still.
Doesn't mean they're good at it. I've failed many people in the last 15 years of my life, but I think this is a semester where I'm not going to be failing anyone.
Oh, you're in a good mood. I'll be failing them left and right. I don't care. What does it matter?
Well, I was sick. I was sick last week, and then I had sick kids, so it's all relative. I feel freaking fantastic right now because I feel normal. So that's the key to getting an A in my class.
Whatever grade you want.
Grade however you want.
That's right. So hit that thumbs up button on your way out the door. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live tomorrow. I'll be back on with Grant to talk all about props and pick them for this week 15 in the NFL. So until next time, I'll see you again like I normally do on weekdays, 11 o'clock Eastern, talking about all things you're thinking about in daily fantasy props and pick 'em on RotoGrinders Today.